Are stag stations in Hollow Knight actually useful? And if so, which ones are better and which ones are worse? In this video, I'm going to rank all of the stag stations out of 10 to see which ones are actually good. Starting with the Crossroads, the first stag station that 90% of players are going to get first. This one I'm going to rank a 9 out of 10. This not only introduces players to how stag stations actually work, but overall it's a pretty solid one, as later in your playthrough you may need to go back to Crossroads for several things, such as Grubmother, Marsh Shards, Salubra, saving Sly, Grubfather, getting grubs, going to Fungal Waste, using the elevator to City of Tears, getting out of Crossroads itself from Crossroads, but most importantly, going to Crystal Peaks, as it's the closest stag station for that whole area, which consists of lots of grubs, challenges and Crystal Heart. I think this is one of the best, most useful stag stations in the game, especially as it only costs 50 Geo, which you can easily get in Crossroads. The next one most people are likely to visit is Dirtmouth, right after using the Crossroads Stag for the first time, as it's the only other one unlocked. Overall, this stag station is very good, and an 8 out of 10 for usefulness. Getting to Dirtmouth is very useful, as you'll need to get to shops like Sly, Isolda or Gigi, but it's also very useful because of the Grim Troop and Divine, or simply just to say hi to Elderbug. However, Dirtmouth isn't the only place the Dirtmouth Stag can get you, as when Mantis clawing up the left wall, you can get to King's Pass, the place you spawn when starting a new save. This is incredibly useful in case you miss Fury of the Fallen on your first playthrough. Not only this, but it can also get you to Howling Cliffs, which is useful as the stag station in Howling Cliffs, Stag Nest, is inaccessible until very late game. And finally, the Dirtmouth Stag could also be useful for Crystal Peaks, as you can easily get there and it's a different entrance from the one in Crossroads. Though you do need Crystal Heart to get there, which means you must have already been there, so it's probably not that useful anyways. Next, we have Green Path. This one is a 5 out of 10, which is surprisingly high since there's literally nothing near the stag station that is useful. Though on your first playthrough getting to Fungal Waste from Crossroads is a lot easier than through Fog Canyon, so this stag station would be useful for that. But the main reason it's a 5 out of 10 is because of the bench it comes with, as without the bench you would have to walk quite far through Green Path every time you died to Hornet, and on a first playthrough that's probably going to happen a lot. This stag station has a whole area dedicated to it, when it really shouldn't. The Queen stag station is not very useful and it's getting a 4 out of 10. This is only useful for about half of Fungal Waste, though it's probably the closest to Mantis Village, which is quite useful if you missed the Mantis Lords earlier on. It's also useful for the whole of Fog Canyon, as it is by far the closest stag station to the area. But even Fog Canyon isn't that useful, and the only reason to revisit it would be for the Shade Barrier after you've collected Shade Dash. But even then, it's only to unlock Cornerful. This stag station is probably one of the worst. The City Storm stag station kinda sucks, and is getting a 3 out of 10. Seriously, this stag station is not useful at all, apart from to exit City for the first time. As in any other situation, King's Station Stag is infinitely better. The stag station would be higher, but it's not even the only way to exit City of Tears after entering from the City Crest entrance, as you can also take the elevator to Crossroads, use Dive, which you can unlock in City to get round the door, or get the simple key and get into Waterways. This stag station may be the worst in the game, but keep watching to see if it actually is. Also, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, make sure to subscribe. We're gaining subscribers so quickly right now, and we're heading for 10k, so I'd really appreciate it. Also, join the Discord server, the link will be in the description. Anyways, back to the video. The King Station Stag is the one and only 10 out of 10 in this video, and trust me, there is a pretty valid reason. King Station is useful for most of City of Tears, consisting of Lem, Soul Sanctum and Soul Master. Lots of grubs, charms, Pleasure House and Watcher's Spire. But it also is the closest stag station to the whole of Royal Waterways, which has lots of grubs, Dung Defender, Isthmus Tier, and is the area where the whole place of Godhome is. It is also the closest stag station to the whole of Kingdom's Edge, located right next to the entrance. This area has lots of useful and essential things, like Hornet 2, King's Brand, the whole Colosseum, lots of grubs, charms like Quick Slash and Oro, along with his nail arm. And finally, King Station is right next to Ancient Basin. Although there is a stag station there, before you find it, this one is the best option. This stag station is by far the best and most useful, and is worth getting more than any other, despite being 300 Geo, the most in the game. The Resting Ground stag station is a 6 out of 10. This is because it is completely free, which it kinda needs to be, because if you get Dream Nail before Dive or Tram Pass without Geo, you're stuck there. The cost does make the score go higher, though it can be pretty useful, to get to Spirit's Glade and Zero, but most importantly to get underneath Resting Grounds, which consists of Blue Lake, an entrance to Crossroads, lots of Geo Rocks, the Soul Eater Charm, and finally the Delicate Flower Quest, which, although it's difficult, gets you a Marshal. This stag station is pretty mid, and I only remember using it a couple times in my first playthrough. Distant Village, the Stag in Deep Nest, is next, and this stag really only has one sole use: getting the fuck away from Beast's Den. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 just for this, as right after getting Hera, you would have to traverse through the whole of Deep Nest again if it wasn't for this stag station. Annoyingly, this stag costs 250 Geo, though if you kill enough stalking devout's, it's not hard to save up, and there's also a lot of Geo in Beast's Den. This stag station could be used to get the tram to Basin, but I don't think it's any quicker than Queen Station, so it isn't used for anything other than escaping Deep Nest after Hera. Next is Hidden Station, getting 5 out of 10. As it says in the name, it's hidden, and I remember being very shocked when I found it, as you have to go past the White Palace entrance and all the way to the right. This brings it down a bit, but overall the usefulness is pretty high, as it is obviously the quickest way to get to Basin and Abyss. However, these places don't really need to be revisited much, and I only remember using this stag 1 or 2 times in my first playthrough. It is also a 5 out of 10 because it is the closest to the Hive, which you'll also probably visit once, but it's worth noting. The Queen's Gardens Stag Station is a 7 out of 10, as it's the only one for the whole area, and Queen's Gardens is a massive place filled with things essential for your playthrough. You may have ended up here before Shade Dash, meaning the Stag Station will be useful for when you get Shade Dash and want to return. This is because a Shade Barrier blocks Traitor Lord and White Lady. It would be useful for the Flower Quest, but of course you can't use Stag Stations. The chances of you getting everything you need from this area the first time you come here is quite low, because of things like Love Key, so the stag is pretty useful. It also could be a quicker way to Deep Nest if you don't have Distant Village stag, but you'll probably have that by the time you come here, so it's not really useful for that. And finally, last and certainly the least is Stag Nest, getting a 1 out of 10. Not only is this stag for the worst area in the game, Howling Cliffs, as there isn't even that much to do here, meaning you won't be needing to return here, especially since you have to get all the other stags in the game to unlock just this one, meaning it's already very late game. I suppose if you haven't done the Grim Tube that late, then it could be useful for going over there, but this is a really lame excuse. And I can't even imagine what the stag station was used for before the Grim Tube DLC was even there. The one thing actually good about this is you get a vessel fragment, not even a Mars shard. This stag station absolutely sucks, and the only reason it's in the game is because of the lore. And that is all the Hollow Knight stag stations ranked. And to answer the question, which is the best stag in the game? Well, it's King Station. Just by far the best, and definitely worth buying if you come across it. That's the end of this video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. I want to get this video over 8 minutes, so I can get mid-roll ads. Anyways, goodbye.